What kit can you see today's guest in?
Personally, I mean, it's a special guest for me. Just the Bolton training kit. Obviously, Big Sam's assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Special time for me, that era.
See, I can see him in his England gear, me.
I can.
Yeah.
Sammy Lee.
Yeah. What an absolutely lovely fella.
Lovely,
Gentleman,
lovely
wasn't he? I'm not sure if I went in a bit too strong with the management thing. I don't know.
Well, we'll find out. Let us know what you think.
If I was a bit harsh.
Kits on display, just as a thank you to O'Neills Sportswear, the brand new kits.
You look good, Chris.
I know I do. I always do. Links in the description if you want to get involved or sort your own team out. As always, thanks to O'Neills Sportswear.
Some of the players he's worked with, man. Sammy.
Yeah.
Think of all the lads that, like, look at Gerrard, they'll look at him and the amount of respect they'll have for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm not even just thinking the England ones. I'm on about your Jorkaevs, your Campos, your Kevin Nolans.
He's been at the top, hasn't he, for a long time. A long time. Quick mention about the Patreon as well. If you're not involved, 2 extra episodes every month, and God knows how many in back catalogue. But Jonas Olsen just out. What an episode that was.
I bet he was good having the change around.
Yeah, very good.
I met Billy Jones' message and he went, unbelievable fella,
but
you knew when he wasn't very happy.
I think you can see that with him.
Yeah. Really nice fella, but don't get on the wrong side of him.
Yeah.
But we recorded this in the factory in London, so massive thanks to them.
Yeah.
And any podcasts out there that are looking for venues, check the factory out in London because it was spot on.
In London,
bang next to the station. Can't remember which station, but bang next to one. Easy to get to.
If you're not a Patreon, then that is definitely one to get involved with.
Very self-deprecating. Is that a word? That's the word, isn't it?
Self-deprecating.
Sammy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
If you remember.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's because he used to people saying he's really short, so he'll get it in there first.
Yeah, probably go out attacking.
Yeah, but
through the 70s as well.
It was warming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, come on, Sammy.
Should we get him in?
Come on, Sammy.
Just been telling us possibly your best result in your footballing career over the weekend.
Well, as always, it's always about the next result, to be honest with you, chaps. And, there's a saying in football and life that, you're only as good as your last result. But where we come from, Liverpool, only as good as your next result. And thankfully, I was involved in the Legends a couple of weeks ago at Stamford Bridge. And we ended up beating them 1-0. And that was exactly the week after the first team got beat by them 2-1. In a very late goal. We scored in the 82nd minute, which was 2 minutes over because there's only like 40 minutes each off for the Legends, because we haven't got the legs or they haven't got the legs. So great results to beat them 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. And it was my first involvement in the Legends, and it could be my last as well, you know what I mean?
Might as well go out on an eye.
Well, exactly. I'm sure we'll touch on that after I've been sacked nearly every place I've been, so like... people say you become a good coach when you get sacked. Well, I should be the best, because I've got it, and I'm not, because I've been sacked that many times, But no, it was I laugh and joke about it, but it was a terrific game. And honestly, as I said afterwards, I felt chuffed. I felt as good as any performance I've been in. I mean, because it's what the game does to you. You just want to keep on. It's about being there and ultimately about winning. Because you see their squad, and they had their players who not long retired, so they still had legs in them, But again, our lads were fantastic. And for me, my first involvement as a coach on there alongside Aldo, Tomo and Rushy, I have to say to you, seriously, and it may sound glib to you. If it does, then that's your problem. Because for me, I was chuffed.
Yeah.
I was chuffed, honestly, I really was.
Pulled up the team sheet.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The
I
difference.
reckon they'd have a good run now.
I know.
Some of them names.
I mean, them charity games, you need a bit of needle. Once there's a bit of a rough tackle goes in, or there's two lads squaring up, and it was Costa on it.
Yeah, well,
Costa and Skirtle.
We knew beforehand it was going to happen. We warned about it beforehand because they had a history, But that's what the lads are like. Once you cross the line, you become professional, you become competitive. You never stop that, And lo and behold, afterwards at the bar, they're laughing and joking, taking photos with each other,
having a drink,
And that's the essence of it, isn't it? I think it was just great the fact that the competitive development was there because people are paying money to go there, And we all have professional pride, and no more than us, And honestly, as I say, I was chuffed. I was chuffed.
They usually start first 10, 15, nicey, then there's a goal. And then that's when it starts getting a little bit more in it, and then the tackles start flying in.
Well, I've got to be honest with you, Parky. I said that, I'd give it a little bit of a touch before he went out. And again, I go on LFC TV every now and then, and they don't invite me anymore because I keep on saying the same thing about clean sheets, because there may be negative coach speak, but I remember going out, and just before he went out, I said, listen, I went to Pepe Reina, stand the Vesterveld and Kirk. He said, listen, clean sheet will win the game. And again, got the win for us, and the lap around Chelsea, Stamford Bridge, took us a day and a half, by the way, but we got around there in the end.
You are actually buzzing, aren't you?
Well, I had to get an Uber to go round, honestly. But no, it was excellent. And again, honestly, I was going to say, and I said to that, I sat there, we were having a beer, and afterwards, although Tom and myself, and I felt so proud, honestly.
Well, can we talk about your role as manager in your first charity game? Shit his pants, Sammy.
Why?
Shit his pants.
There were too many bodies.
Yeah.
Too many bodies. I couldn't get my team sorted, so I just went and got a pint. Just left it to somebody else.
Yeah. I've done that on most games, mate. Pint and underpants.
Manager. He's at the bar.
Dickie Tomo, didn't we? You know what I mean? So Ted Lasso sort of thing. No, but listen, because at the end of the day, as you say, you get nervous because you want to win, don't you? In any form of competition, you want to win, and you have a personal pride, and I get that.
Is it right you carried a dark cloud through your career from joining Liverpool as an apprentice? Who left?
How do you know that? Oh, wow, you've done some research, haven't you, mate? Bloody hell. Yeah. Well, again, I've got to be honest with you, chaps. I mean, I'm from the city centre in this city, you know what I mean? And you're either red or blue. And I think we're unique, this city, for that, because you have people in the same family. On one side of the table, your sister or your brother could be blue, and I'm red, you know what I mean? I don't think that happens anywhere else, but thankfully I was brought up a red, you know what I mean, not a blue. And 74 was a big year for me, because I was leaving school and I was about to join Liverpool as an apprentice. Not academy, obviously, I do now, but as an AP. And but in the May, I goes to watch the great Liverpool team, and playing against a very, very good Newcastle side. And the Newcastle side had Malcolm McDonald in it. They had Terry McDermott in, who we bought after. Anyway, we beat them 3-0, fantastic, outclassed them, overpowered them, and that was in the May. On the 2nd of June, I signed AP, an apprentice for Liverpool, thinking, I'm going to be with all these guys, naively. Your Phil Thompsons, your Ray Clemenses, your Emlyn Hughes, your Smithies, Callies, Keegan and Tosh. But not only that, to be led by the great man, the great Bill Shankly. That was on the 2nd of May when I signed. He resigned on the 18th. Nearly 2 weeks after I joined. And honestly, the black cloud that he's talking about, Brandy, I thought he resigned because I joined the football club. and no one told me any different.
Nobody told me any different.
And honestly, I'm the one who thinks
your fault.
Yeah, exactly. You little fat whatever. He's joining the great man has left. Oh no! And again, honestly, even to this day, no one's told me that he didn't resign because of me. So yeah, I mean, it's bad enough looking like the way I do, but imagine that black cloud that I was under because of the great man, because he was. I mean, one of the reasons why Liverpool are such a club what they are today is he set the cornerstone down for it. He set the foundations down for it. And again, as you say, for that black cloud, 2 weeks after me signing, he resigns. I'm thinking it's all because of me joining the football club. But I was able to live with that, although it was not easy. I didn't sleep at night. Never. That's why I look the way I do. But it's one of them I just had to live with it. But yeah, believe it or not, and as I said to you before, no one dissuaded me or told me anything that it wasn't me. It wasn't because of me that he resigned. Honestly, so it still rankles with me to this day.
So did you go straight from school in as an apprentice?
Yeah.
Finished?
Yeah.
You knew?
No, I did O levels. Believe it or not. Yes, I went to a good school, believe it or not. You wouldn't think so, listen to me talk. I went to a very good school, and it was great, strange because it was a grammar school, and a very, very good school in terms of, sports as well. They were fantastic, not only educational wise, grammatical wise, but sports wise, brilliant, fantastic facilities. But they didn't allow us to play for the city team. Now, prior to going to that senior school, I'd represented the city team at junior level, at primary level. I was captain, and you think that it follows on that if you keep on continuing your development. But the school was, I'd say, it was a rugby playing school, but it was a very, very good football school as well. But they didn't allow you to play for the city team, which, when I look back on it, it was a blessing, really, because it kept me away from all the temptations of, the big clubs or whatever, if you like, when that brings. And I was able to develop my own, if you like, skills within the format of my own peers. I was able to play with my own peers, my mates. You know, we were in a Sunday league team, and I say it was a very successful school in terms of, I say, grammar, but also in terms of sports. And we got into the finals, Echo Cups, Martindale Cups, Senior Shields. So all the time you're still getting seen, getting scouted by the scouts from the local teams. Used to come to all the finals, but I went straight from, because I failed miserably, which in hindsight, it was a blessing for me. But whenever I do talk to young kids now, I always say, listen, get your education in. Get your education in, because you know what's happening. You've spoken to all the guys, like the percentage of people, of players, young players, who actually make it from the academy to their first team is 1%. So even I can do the math on that. 99 fails, you know what I mean? So, you know, and I have to say to you, and I say the education, because I say I went to a good school. So I'll give you a little instance. So we used to, you know, Spanish lessons. Now I went to Spanish lessons, but I didn't really studying them. I'm thinking, what does a kid from Inner City, Liverpool need Spanish for? What do I need Spanish for? You know, I'm not, even if I go to Benidorm, they all speak English. You know what I mean? Or Magaluf, they all speak English. So
San Miguel,
and egg and bacon for breakfast and lunch and dinner. You know, so what? And then lo and behold, you know, as I say, I didn't take the Spanish. I then go to play for the team in Spain. And then lo and behold, later on, I'm thinking, what does a kid from Liverpool need Spanish? I'm playing for the Spanish club. I comes back and I'm working with Rafa Benitez, and again, fantastic. You know, I try and talk Spanish to him, you know. So I'm in there 5, 6, 7 weeks, you know, and he said, you're the only person I know who speaks 2 languages badly. You know, and that was his way of endearing himself to me, you know what I mean? But I went, a great style, because I thought I was out the door. But
gracias.
Yeah. I didn't even know that at the time. I think I may have told him to piss off, but I would never do that. No, but again, a wonderful. But my point being is that when I talk to young kids now, young kids about education, and I say to them, because if you're going to be a player, you'll be a player, you know. But get your education.
So where were you at that age? Were you, I'm going to be a footballer?
Well,
leaving school,
yeah,
did you think
naively, you think you're always going to be a player, you know. And thankfully I got the chance to have an apprenticeship at Liverpool, you know. But I mean, it was just an apprenticeship. You're in there doing all the menial tasks, you know. And again, I was just so naive, but I was so focused, because that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be, you know, and say, how can someone who looks like me get on to achieve his dream, you know? Because I've always been this little rotund, cherubic, fat, if you like, posh, yeah, you know, and stature. So, and all the odds were stacked against us, you know. But I have to say to you, I had a fantastic family, fantastic friends. I came from the inner city, and I've got to be honest with you, chaps, for me, I am what I am because of where I was brought up, not in spite of. A lot of people try to, you know, blame the surroundings or where they were born for not doing whatever. But for me, it was the best ground and the best upbringing I could ever have. And I've still got lots of friends from around the same area, you know, very local to where we are at this moment. And as I say, I've got nothing but thanks and gratitude for everybody in and around the place where I was brought up in, which, as I say, was the Bull Ring in the city, Liverpool.
I just wanted to speak about, because I hear like Carragher and stuff on about the passion that the fans have got, the Liverpool fans have got, and everything just seems family.
That's the word, mate.
I can't relate. I'm a big Sunderland fan, and I can't really relate to how he speaks about Liverpool. Because you just talk about what it is and where it comes from. They all just seem to stick together.
Yeah. Well, we've had a lot of tragedies as well, mate, as I'm sure you know. Our football club's had a number of tragedies, which also galvanises you, brings you together. But I think it's the city thing. And honestly, I kid you not, and we may talk about it after, about, you know, me coaching and maybe going to coach at Everton, but, you know, and people ask why I do it. Because I'm just so proud of the city. I love the city. I think we are unique. You guys may think differently. I understand that. But for me, I have to say to you, there's something about this city. Even when I was in Spain, I was loving my time in Spain. You know, I had a family tragedy as well. My mother passed away on holiday, which it was another galvanising reason for me for coming back. You know, and but there's something about this place that drags you back. You know what I mean? And like the old Hotel California, the Eagles, you can check out, but you can never leave, and I believe that about this city. And I'm not being glib when I say family, but it is, and once you join Liverpool Football Club, whichever part of the globe you come from, you become part of that family, in my opinion. And I think that's what makes us unique. Everton have got that as well, because as I said to you before, one of the unique situations about our city is the fact that we're in the same family, and what my sister could be who knows, and I'm dead, And my sister, she's great. I've got 3 sisters, but one of my sisters said to me one time, she says to me, when are you going to get a proper job? And I'm playing for the first team at Liverpool. And I thought, well, thank you very much. But that being said, I've never even considered it a job. Never. I've never worked a day in my life.
Saying that about the city in itself, did you get any stick later on going to Everton?
Of course.
Coaching?
Off my granddaughter. No, it wasn't off my granddaughter, actually. She actually got a bit of stick. It was quite strange because I think she was 7 at the time, and she was in the school playground, and one of the mothers came up to her and said, what about your pops? She calls me Pops. What about your Pops? The traitor? He's going to join Everton. Now, she never even knew what it was. She just started crying, But there's that kind of thing. But that was only few and far between, And I have to say to you, when I get asked about it, many, many times, how could I do such a thing, Well, I've got a number of passions in my life, lads, a number of passions, I love music. The biggest passion is my family. Football has always been there. It's always been my passion. And when that gets taken away from you, for whatever reason, I mentioned before that I've been sacked everywhere I've been, both as a player and as a coach. So when you get that, and I make light of that now, but at the time it's hard. It's hard when you get sacked in any situation. Again, mine's not a job, but a lot of people within this city have been sacked from their places of employment, and it hurts. But I wanted to continue my passion. So when I got the chance to go and join Everton with Sam, I jumped at it. Everton at the time was 16th in the table. 16th. In our time there, our short time there, with our coaching staff that we had, that Sam had, he assembled together, we got them to 8th. Now, they haven't finished that high in the table since. I think they will this year because they've got a great manager in charge, Moisey. It was fantastic. It's his club. I think they will this year, but they haven't up until now. And that was so proud. One of my proudest moments as a coach for that to happen. Because as I said to you before, one of my passions, is football, but also one of the main passions is the city. And the city needs the 2 teams in the Premiership. And for me to be part of keeping that status quo, getting them from 16th to 8th, keeping them in the Premiership, I have to say to you, honestly, it's one of the proudest moments of my football career, as was last Sunday. And people may or may not believe that, but that's the way it is. I couldn't be more proud.
Do you think the stick would have been worse if you'd gone to United?
Well, I'd never go to United. So
would you not?
No, listen, I've got to be honest. That may sound awful, but I've got nothing but respect for Manchester United. I say, take it, nothing but respect. But I have to say to you, one of the main reasons, as I said, is my respect for the city and my love for the city and the passion for the city. I think that'd be diluted if I went to United. Yeah. But this is not that I'd ever be asked to. Don't worry, the United fans, that's never happening. Don't worry. They'd be made up as well. They wouldn't want me there, But I'm sure. Listen, there's pressures in any football club you go to, and invariably when Sam and myself go in there, there's a bit of a situation, whichever club we go into, and for us to go in there and do what we do. He's actually become a victim of his own success, because people think he's just a firefighter. I'm talking about Big Sam now. He's more than that. He is. And I've been involved with an awful lot of coaches and managers, some fantastic coaches, fantastic number ones, and he's up there with them all. He really is.
I was thinking about this driving over. He was made out. It was almost a laughing stock. I'm putting Allardyce, Pulis, that kind of them kind of managers that played that kind of football. I've watched the Premier League this season. And these managers are getting praised for the way they're playing. And they were doing it years ago.
Look at Arsenal, man. Look at Arsenal with the set pieces. Look at that. I've got to be honest, Sam was doing that back in the Bolton days. He used to have Nobby Nolan standing on the keeper. Actually standing on the keeper. Nobby standing on the keeper. But look, they're doing that now. They've got a set piece coach, and he's getting lauded. They've done a mural of him. Sam and his coaching staff were doing that back in the day for Bolton. And as you so rightly said, football it's a very simple game. Very simple game. You just got to get the best out of the players you've got with. It's quite often complicated by coaches like myself, trying to justify our own existence, trying to impose our whatever philosophy or shape on players who don't really want to play. I mean, that's what happened to me as a manager, which we may talk about in a short place of time.
It's just like fashion, isn't it? football was whatever's trendy.
It's cyclical.
Same as music, and that's trendy at the time.
Around, yeah.
I tell you what, you'd be spewing if you were, say you've been doing your coaching badges for the last 10 years, working on this pep style of football, and all of a sudden now people are launching throw-ins from the car park, getting bodies around the ball. I seen, was it United? Their tactic was hit the front man. They didn't play front man, but hit whoever was up front and get around the ball for seconds. And I'm like, well, we did that 15 years ago. That was Alan Irvine's tactics at Preston.
Good lad, Alan. Good lad, mate. Yeah, but you play to your capabilities, and to your strengths, and that's what people like Sam have always done. At the end of the day, he knows the types of players he's got, and he knows he's always had this discussion. If you can play off from the back, then fine, play off from the back. But there are teams, as you so rightly said and mentioned, who are playing out from the back and they can't play out from the back. And next thing, it's a transition, it's a counter. And from about 20 yards, they're getting shot in on your own goal because they're trying to play out from the back. So Sam has always been of the belief that you play to your capability and to your strengths. And whether that be long ball, second balls, or whether that be playing out from the back. Whatever the players, because it's all about the players. It's all about the players, and you've got the players to do it, then play that way, But as you say, for me, I think as a coach, I find you've got to be flexible, you've got to be adaptable, you've got to adapt to the long ball, you've got to be able to play the long ball, because sometimes when it's not happening, you've got to go route one. There's no harm in that. We play, I'll give you an instance if you don't mind. We played against Manchester City. We were at Everton, and we had this discussion, which became a heated discussion, became a debate, became an argument between me and him. Do you go high press or low press? High press. So, and the good thing about Sammy gives all the coaches, an input. We all had this do it because Man City. So, and you talk about playing off on the back. So we compromised. We went half and half. So that's a bit of a cop out, really, rather than a compromise, half and half. So I'll never forget. We conceded a goal. And how the goal came from their goalkeeper, we've gone high press, half, and low press. Yeah? Their goalkeeper, it's a 45 yards on. Sané was playing for them at the time, yeah, on the halfway line. This is Manchester City, playing off on the back. He touches the ball past the centre half. His second touch takes him away from the centre half. His third touch is in the back of our goal. That's playing off on the back. Yeah. That's Man City. So playing off on the back doesn't have to be 700 passes. And you're still on the edge of your own 18-yard box. That was them playing off in the back. They played what was on. And again, so I don't know who won the argument, me or Sam, when we said, but one thing for sure. It
sounds like you both
we both lost because the ball ended up in the back of our net. But that's what I'm saying about you have to be adaptable and flexible. If you have this one vision, then in this game, the way it moves and the way it moves on, and there are different trends, as you mentioned before, all the time. And football is constantly evolving, not just week by week, but game by game. And if you don't move with them times, if you don't adapt, then I have to say to you, sometimes you end up like being in trouble.
Mm-hmm. What do you know for a Liverpool fan? Would they want Everton relegated?
I can't speak for every Liverpool fan or everyone in the city, but some of my best mates, in fact, my best mates are Evertonians. But me, personally, and a lot of Liverpool supporters that I know, they wouldn't want Everton to go down. I do know some supporters who may want Everton to go down. I've never wanted that. Hopefully it'll never happen. Because at the end of the day, as I said to you before, the City, they need the two teams in the Premiership. These derby games, they're massive, they're crucial, they're fantastic. To be involved in, wonderful. And as I say to you, you're pitting family one side of the table against the other. Imagine the conversations over tea or dinner or supper that evening. That's what makes it all go round. So for me, I've got to be honest with you, Parky, I think it's a rhetorical question. I think some of them may want to go down, as some may want Liverpool to get beat every game. But all I will say to you is that I'd love Everton to finish just below us. If we were top, then they've to finish second.
It's family rivalry, isn't it? Because your brother or your sister they could support Liverpool or Everton.
As I said before, yeah.
But I think United Liverpool's a hatred, isn't it? They hate each other. That's the difference between Liverpool, Everton.
Well, we quite often get asked the question, who's the biggest rival, Liverpool or Everton? Who would you rather win against, Liverpool or Everton? Well, I'll give you, and again, if this sounds glib, that's your problem, as I say, and your listeners' problem, your viewers' problem. Because for me, it's always about the next game. And I'll give you a little instance. So Liverpool beat Manchester United 7-0. Yeah? Euphoria. I was walking down the street. I was getting kisses off women in the street. I'm not even at the club. And I'm getting kisses off the street. And I don't get
quite often. We're walking around for 3 hours.
I walked up and down that street. Bought 2 pair of shoes out. But you know, and I've got to be honest, yeah. So so the very next game, I don't know whether you know who they played the very next game. Okay, but you know, well, they played Bournemouth the very next game. Bournemouth were bottom of the table. Liverpool got beat 1-0. Now, going into that game, after beating Man United, Liverpool were 4th until it was in March. Getting beat by Bournemouth, we ended up being 5th. When you're 5th in the table, you're in the Champions League. When you don't qualify for the Champions League, people at the football club lose their jobs. You know, and that's harsh. So my point being is that when you talk about the best rivalries, right, for me it's always about the next game. And people are always laughing, oh yeah, that's my illustration on that. Beat Manchester United 7, go and get beat by Bournemouth. You cannot afford in this league to take your focus or take your foot off the pedal, because the moment that happens, it smacks you in the face. And honestly, when people always ask me which is the greatest rivalry, honestly, and people go, oh, no, not again, Sammy. But it's the next game. And that hopefully proves my point.
We want to obviously get into your coaching grid, but I don't want to.
I know. I was just looking at
your achievements as a player, especially at Liverpool. I mean, 14 trophies. Which one meant most to you?
Well, first and foremost, my first game.
How old were you when you made your debut?
I was 17.
So you did well in that first year as an apprentice then?
Yeah, and reserves, yeah, you know, and then I got on and I'm sub, and I kid you not, there was only one sub at the time. You didn't get on the pitch then. You didn't get on the pitch because Liverpool players didn't get injured. You played injured, but you never got injured. You played with knocks and niggles and what have you. But for me, sadly, the guy has since passed away, a great friend of mine, the great Davy Johnson, the doc, he got injured, which gave me my opportunity to come on. Now, I came on playing against Leicester. Mark Wellington was in goal. And again, if anything you know about Sammy Lee, me and goals just don't go together in my my CV. But I was managed to score on my debut in front of the Kop, you know, and it was the worst goal that ever went in. It must have bounced 16, 17 times before it went in. I think Mark Wellington, I think what happened is, because it was that bad a shot, in his mind, he's already processed it. I'll pick it up and I'll distribute it and we can be on the counter-attack. He forgot to pick it up, it went to his legs into the goal. So imagine that a young kid from inner city Liverpool, as I mentioned before, on his debut, scoring.
Family in the stands.
Family in the stands, yeah, in the stands. And I was able to go and score. And, you know, I was very fortunate because, again, Sammy Lee and goals don't go together. I scored on my debut in front of the Kop. I scored on my Derby debut in front of the Park End, which is at Goodison, which is the Park End in Goodison is the Liverpool end. And then I scored on my international debut. You know, so it's quite strange, you know, because someone who doesn't score goals to have that little bit of, you know, trivia.
Impact.
Even being around the first team, because that your first season, although you didn't play many games, you still end up winning the league.
Yeah.
Just being around that, the team and the celebrations. Obviously, we talked about the parade earlier. It must have been unbelievable
as a
fan.
It's what you dream of. It's what you work for. It's what you know what you practice all them hours for. So I've been very fortunate to be involved in a number of games. But that you know, to get me debut, do that, albeit come on as a sub for a friend who got injured, sadly since passed away, you know, and then to score and then to win the title, you know, it's what dreams are made of. And honestly, chaps, when people talk about it, I'm still living the dream.
You must have gotten a couple of kisses in the street after that first league title. Just in case.
Only off my mum. only off my mum, because listen, I've always been ugly, little fat, whatever, you know. But I have to say to you know, and as a player, you never quite get the recognition, and even as a player, we weren't encouraged to appreciate it. We just went, because at the end of the day, it was, no, it's about the next one. Yeah, that's great, you've done that, move on, and that's part of what makes Liverpool a continued success, not only but over decades, you know, because the fact that you got to move on. Yeah, you can have your moment of enjoyment, but don't dwell on it, because honestly, this game moves so fast. This league moves so fast, it overtakes you. So, no, I didn't get enough kisses, to be honest with you.
Did you ever have a wobble with like going out too much and like thinking, oh, I've made it now, I can do whatever I want?
Yeah,
I lost my way a bit. If the truth be known, I lost my way a bit. And the club were great, you know, because they have this way of give you your own autonomy. And they know full well that if you do that, then your performances will suffer. And yeah, I had to be, if I'm being honest, yeah. But thankfully, I'd say I've got a great family. I've got great friends, same friends. They pulled me back onto the straight and narrow. But it was hard at the time because you do get lost in the publicity, I suppose. And I'd be lying to you if I said no. I'm no angel, never have been, But I have to say to you, I've always thought myself being a good professional. But yes, again, I think it was a rhetorical question, Parky. I think I did lose my way for a small period of time. And then what happens is that you can get told all the advice you like, but when you start losing your edge and start losing your position, that's the biggest telltale. That's the biggest when you're not doing it. So quickly, and again, I had fantastic colleagues. They'd put you on the straight and narrow because we were challenged every single day. We went into the place every single day. And when and they did it in such a way whereby, I wouldn't say it was subtle. It was far from subtle. But they'll let you know if you went on it. And they knew why I wasn't on it, and they knew that I knew why I wasn't on it. So it all comes back to the same thing, that if you are burning the candle, the one thing to suffer is your performance on the pitch. Because what this club demands and what our supporters demand is 110% every single game. And you can't do it at that 110% without putting that every single day in training. And again, I repeat, every single day that we went in, there was no way you could ever be off the pace.
I was just going to say that might be a bit of a boring question. I'm looking at that 80-81 season. Liverpool finished 5th. 10 points separated 1st and 7th. And I just wanted to know, was football more exciting when it was only 2 points?
Competitive.
Yeah, more competitive.
It's difficult for me to answer that, Chas, because obviously I'm of that era. I mean, I still find football very exciting now, but for me, full well that there was no margin of error then. Every single point counted. You couldn't afford to fall too far behind, really. You can't win leagues in the first 3-4 months, but you can certainly lose them. What used to kickstart us, if we were having a bit of an issue, was more like the League Cups. We won 4 from 81 right to 84, 4 consecutive. Now, that's the first, and again, I hope this doesn't sound like a digression, but that was the first trophy you could win. It's the earliest trophy you could win. It's in March. That gave you qualification for Europe. Once you had that used to spur us on to bigger and greater things, having them 4 consecutive cups where we won them 4 in a row, and then that just spurred us on for the business end of the season, if you like, leading into going in from March right away to the end of the season, which is always tight. Going back to your 2 points, Chris Brown, where we knew full well that every point counted.
Yeah.
I never even knew it were 2 points at one point.
No, 2 points at one point.
For a draw. I genuinely never knew that.
Was coaching always the plan?
I'd like to say yeah, but I don't think it was, mate, to be perfectly honest. And now I got that again. I've got Spain to thank for that. Because when I went over there, as I say, and this is no slight on Queen's Park Rangers, because Queen's Park Rangers were and are a great football club. It was my issue. Once you leave Liverpool, I was on the down, I went there. And Michael Robbins, who was there, he got me to Queen's Park Rangers.
How old were you when you went there? Sorry.
Well, it was 86, so the matter, I was born in 59, well, 27.
Right.
Yeah. And but I had the sell-by date on me. One of the good things about Liverpool football, no, seriously, there's no sentiment involved. Once your sell-by date is on, they know that. And we're always the last to know it, although you may suspect it. And there's no sentiment involved. Sell-by, you're out. So my time was up. There's other players coming through. Macca, Steve McMahon, great guy, Craig Johnson coming through, Ronnie Whelans, who had been playing with for a couple of years anyway, all these great players, So I went to Queen's Park Rangers, and it was a shock for me leaving Liverpool. And so it's no slight on Queen's Park Rangers. Everything was down to me. But then I got the opportunity to go to Spain with Michael again. And after that, I say it was the best time professionally. My point being is that while I was there at Spain and I'm doing meeting, the young lads who were playing in the team, they were taking their coaching qualifications. They were taking the coaching qualification. I'm thinking, wow. And that opened my eyes, to be honest, to see them doing it. And again, I'll move on a little bit if you don't mind, because I get my opportunity at Liverpool with Graham Souness. And it was a bit of a bittersweet moment for me, because I took over from a great friend of mine, Phil Thompson. For whatever reason, Graham decided to change and I felt awful, because Phil Thompson and his family, they're as much, if not more, ingrained in Liverpool society than what I am, his whole family. So for me to take over from him was a bit bittersweet. But I got my opportunity. So once again, I'm in there. It's quite organic. You're doing, the 5-a-sides. You're getting in amongst them. You're playing with them. It's a bit of a player coach in the reserves. And again, Graham brings me. He said, "Can I see you in the office?" Again, I've gone, "Oh no,
This has been your first second
yeah, not again." And so as a guest, he said, "Sammy, again, fantastic." He said, "But," he said, "I think you should take your coaching qualifications."
Oh, so you've gone in without your badges?
You're going without your badges at the time, you know what I mean? Again, thankfully, that's all changed. Now there's a criteria you have to achieve. So you've gone in there, and I have to say to you, although I was so far out of my comfort zone, one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
You're able to go in there, you're going to all these seminars, and I was a sponge. I went to every seminar that there was, every session that was put on, and you get to meet with these guys like Mick McCarthy's, your Peter Taylors, your Big Sams, your Moiseys, and all these guys. And as always, the best time is always after you've had these sessions and what have you, and you're in the bar at the end and you talk and you're exchanging ideas. You're getting to know people. I never use the word network because it sounds as if it's contrived, but you're there, you're amongst them. So you're getting to interact with people and get to know people and getting to form friendships, and that helped me and aided and abetted me, moving forward, going into the international squads later on.
Exclusive deals, fan?
Big fan.
Massive. I know you are. Massive. Rhetorical question. You love them.
Yes, straight in my veins, Chris.
Well, I'm bringing you a fresh, exclusive deal with our new partners, as we are in partnership with TalkSport Bet.
Ooh. Now, I'm sure everybody's heard of TalkSport, but what you might not know is they've got their very own betting site.
I didn't know that.
Some of us have even been on TalkSport.
Check you.
Thank you very much.
And they've got something a little bit special for all you wonderful Undr The Cosh listeners and viewers.
Have we? Because if you sign up to TalkSport Bet, you get £40 in free bets when you bet just £10. To claim it, all you're going to do is go to talksportbet.com/UTC. That's talksportbet.com/UTC.
That is an exclusive deal.
It's good work, that, isn't it? But 18 plus only.
Oh, of course.
Because we aren't saying. Please gamble responsibly.
Gambleaware.org.
Nicely said. New t-shirt.
Yeah. When you've gone into Liverpool initially, are you coaching with the first team?
No, reserves. Reserve team coach.
But still not the youth squads.
No, I'm interacting with the youth squads. We're bringing them through. I'm interacting with the first team as well, but basically with the reserves, because you are the conduit, from the youngsters into reserves into the first team.
Yeah.
So you're there. So you obviously there's interaction between each and every one. And as I said, because of the football club, the way we were, every department interacted. Because you're trying to bring youngsters too from the youth teams into your reserve team. Because what's going to happen is hopefully your reserve team will go into the first team, as you guys know. So it's a conduit there, and all the time you're interacting, getting their ideas, and if you like, developing.
I haven't got your path into the first team. How did it come about, going from reserve team to end up being assistant manager? Was it under Roy Evans? Graham allowed me to come along with the team as well, because obviously once you've done your bits, the reserve teams used to play, in different days to win the first team. So it gradually encouraged me into the first team. And then obviously when Roy gets involved, that gives me more of a chance to go there as an assistant coach, to them. And then thankfully later on when Gerrard came in and Phil Thompson again, Phil asked me to be the assistant. So we had Gerrard Houllier, Patrice Berg, who's a fantastic coach. Phil was the assistant manager, and Phil got me promoted into the first team to be an assistant first team coach. So that was the path from being reserve team, gradually travelling with the first team, to learn about things. And also what happened is, we had no kitmen at the time, so basically we were the kitmen. The coach was a kit man, so I was not a pair of hands to help dish the kit out. We never had a kit man until Gerrard Houllier came. So all the time you learn, it becomes a bit organic, to be honest with you. You're asked to go involved, you have to be involved. You're doing the coaching, but also you're doing all the little mundane things. Like I say, Ronnie Moran would put the kit out, I'd help him, and all them things. And then I say Gerrard Houllier comes in and he invites me to be a coach and be a proper coach then, in terms of just coach rather than be kitman and things like that.
Some players come through at that time as well, during that period. Just looking at that, Carragher, Owen Fowler, Gerrard, McManaman. You just seen all these through each
I nearly
through
ruined them all.
stage.
I nearly ruined them all. I did tell you that I nearly ruined them all. You know, but thankfully I didn't. No, you're very true. I mean, it was a great pathway. Great pathway, you know, and again, our academy as it was, they I have to say to you, some great players came through there, you know, and yes, I was very fortunate working with people like your Fowlers as well, your Owens, your McManamans, you know, just Redknapp's, your Carraghers, your Gerrards, the list is endless, you know. And once again, that was helping me develop as a coach, you know, as a young coach, to be involved with them. And again, I keep on using this word challenge, you know, and honestly, Carra challenged you every single day in a good way, because he wanted to improve, he wanted to learn, and he wouldn't just have a session put on just for session's sake. He'd want to know the reason behind the topic. Why are we doing this? And as long as he had the answer, great. Thankfully, I had the answers for him, you know.
How would you get to the point as a coach / assistant manager where, say you're coaching, all your job is just to put sessions on and take the lads Monday to Friday. How would you get to the point where you're in the office the day before a game running through potential team selections and having your say? You've got that responsibility to put it to the manager. Where was it that changed?
Well, there wasn't one brusque change. I mean, to be honest, it was an evolution. You know, as it happened, you know, I was able to get invited in because they seen the enthusiasm, they seen what I was wanting to do. So thankfully, these guys like your Roy Evans, your Dougie Livermores, your Ronnie Morans, they'd invite me in, they'd be part of it. They, you know, and sometimes when you go away, honestly, you go away with the team, and so the Friday night, you'd have your meal, and then we'd go into one of the rooms, it'd invariably be mine, because they could leave whenever they wanted then, you know what I mean? So we'd have there. So they're
going to bugger off.
Exactly, yeah.
You're knackered.
And honestly, you go in there, you'd have it, and they'd give you a drink, and next thing, the spotlight be on you. It just got like Ronnie, unbelievable Ronnie. He said, right, what would be your team tomorrow? I go, what, you know, but it was fantastic. And it wasn't just one particular moment, mate. It was a graduation you went through. And I think they realised that, you know, that you could trust me. They realised I was hard working. They realised I only wanted the best for the football club and for the players that was involved. So they felt that it was, you know, from what I can gather, they felt that it was a natural progression to allow me to come in amongst them and to be part of the decision-making process. That being said, as an assistant coach, as a number two, it's nothing like being the number one, because ultimately it all finishes on his door, which I found out later on when I became a head coach for 5 minutes. And I think what happened, but honestly, it's great when you can have your input. And thankfully, all these guys that I'm being involved with, they've had the trust in me to allow me to have my input. And as long as I wasn't, you know, too loud or too overbearing, then it seemed to work.
Were there any of them players who came through, sort of your Owens and all that, who did better than what you thought? And on the flip side of that, were any of you thought, nah, I don't think he's going to make it, and ended up going on and doing really well?
Isn't that the same question, isn't it?
No. One of you thought, right, it might have been the same. If you asked me twice. Same question. You know what I mean? But I'll do the first one, and you fucking dickhead. Right, anybody who ended up being better than what you actually ever thought there would be?
No, I'd have to say, honestly, because again, when you get to that level of Liverpool Football Club, there's always an expectation of you and your quality. And people always ask, I'll put it a different way, if you don't mind, who was the best player you've ever coached? And they always wanted me to say the same, like, you know, your Stevies this way, your Carragher this world. You know, they were natural. All they needed was guidelines, the parameters to work within. Because and a lot of people will hang on the back. Oh, I coached Stevie, I coached Carragher. I coached them, but I'd never say. I was just there to facilitate them being the best he could be. You know, giving them guidelines alongside Gerrard, and Phil Thompson and Patrice Berg. They were just fantastic talents. But as a coach, one of the best players I've ever been involved with was Lucas Leiva. I say this all to when people ask me the question, I'm pretty sure Lucas, because Lucas Leiva is a fantastic guy, great person, great player, and as a coach, he's coming over and he's hanging on your every word. But you're right to your point where I've been very, very fortunate to work with some fantastic players, and it may sound like a bit of I'm sitting on the fence as a cop out. I think when you get to that level at Liverpool Football Club, you know, there's always going to be a level, a certain level that then they never got underperform or underachieve. So I never felt someone didn't do it. I always went, wow, fantastic. Pleased to see them, you know, becoming the best version of themselves that they could be, which as a coach, that's all you want.
Putting you on the spot a little bit, who was your favourite manager to work under at Liverpool?
It is very difficult, and you're putting me on the spot, mate. But I'd have to say of them all, and again, I've been very, very fortunate. Very fortunate. But for me as a player, the Paisley guy was unbelievable. Never gets the credit he deserves. Took over from Shankly, as I mentioned before, the great Bill Shankly, where the foundations were all laid with him. Wasn't the eloquent orator, leader that Shanks was. But wow, what an astute tactician. The way he read the game, he's just, you know, and he had a sense of humour, which doesn't always come out. But he did. But I'll give you an instance as regarding his tactical acumen. 81 semi-final, we played Bayern Munich at Anfield, 0-0. We're going down for the second leg to the Olympic Stadium, the old Olympic Stadium as it was. Now, again, Bayern Munich, one of the great bastions of European football, as are Madrid, as are we. And they made a massive mistake, massive faux pas, you know, on all the seats in the Olympic Stadium. They put the travel directions of how to get to the final in Paris. And that news filters down to us, the Vorsprung technique. They think they're there.
German bastards.
I'll let you say it's your show. You can say that. I don't swear. Every swear word I mention is someone else swearing. Not fucking me. Someone else swearing. You know. So and that comes down to it. You know, so think about it. We've had the first it's 0-0. We then go over there and we train on the park the night before, and it was just to get the dimensions or whatever, you get the feel of the pitch. Next month, you know, our day to day. We have our meetings, fantastic. Go to the stadium, go and have our warm-up before the game. Just about to go out to line up alongside them. Paisley said, right, chaps, said, brilliant. Great training session yesterday. Warm-up, you're on it. He said, but we're going to make one change. Now, we never made changes. But he said, we're going to make this one. And I will look, and he said, Paul Breitner did a great job on us in the first leg. Great job on us. So we're going to go man-to-man on him. Now, don't forget, we're lining up just to go out the dressing room to go and line up against them. He said, not only that, he said, we're going to put Sammy to mark him. Now, think about it. Respect, healthy respect, no fear of the opponents. We've had our preparation. Nothing's been worked on. Last minute, he just says, we're going to put him on. Now, if he'd told us that the night before, I'd have wet the bed. I wouldn't have got any sleep whatsoever. My colleagues would have wet the bed. They wouldn't have got any sleep. And they'd have gone and knocked on the manager's door and said, what are you doing? What are you doing? I know that for a fact. That's what we're man to man. And Sammy, anyway, I goes out. I stuck to him like a limpet, man. I stuck like he never got a kick. I never got a kick, you know. But there's a massive part in us getting through that, and the fact that Howard Gale, great friend of mine, the first black player to play for Liverpool, came on a sub, ran them ragged to the point where he came on a sub. You had to sub the sub, had to take him off. We got a great goal from Ray Kennedy. We end up qualifying for the final in Paris, and thankfully we had the directions off the gym to get there, you know. But my point being, it just shows you how astute he was. Because honestly, if he'd told us that, it wouldn't have happened. If he'd told us that on the Monday, in our preparation for the Wednesday game, it wouldn't have happened. Because honestly, there'd have been mutiny. They'd have gone to him and said, look, there'd been a delegation. We don't need to do this, and we certainly don't need to put Sammy on him. That's not going to work ever, you know. But it was that just told you about the tactical acumen of the guy. I repeat, the man management, unbelievable.
That must have been.
He just thought, fuck it, I'll try that.
Well, he may have done, but knowing him, no, because his guys, his Ronnie Morangi's, Joe Fagans, and Roy Evans, they'd have been in the war room the night before. The war room being an hotel room with a bottle of whiskey. That's what it would have been, you know, and lemonade and ice. And they'd have been talking over it. And that's how that would have got done. Because they never did anything off the cuff. That's what I'm saying. He was very astute.
But that must have been a massive piece of education for yourself in man management. The fact that you're at the centre of it, and you've said yourself you'd have pissed the bed if he'd have told you the night before.
I think I would have done worse. But I don't like swearing on your you know, or losing some of your viewers or listeners. But of course it was, mate, and that's what I'm saying. But he never gets the credit he deserves.
Yeah.
The guy was just a great man manager, and it's sad. When I say it's sad, because he followed on from the great Bill Shankly, but he's the most successful Liverpool manager ever in terms of trophies. You know, and certainly one of them. And you think never ever gets the credit he deserves from. Not that he needs it, because the people who know him and love him, we know what he means to the football club, not what he meant, what he means.
Were you personally good, do you feel, at that man management, identifying who needs a bollocking, who needs an arm round them?
I did as a coach, as an assistant. I did, you know. But again, it's easier as an assistant than as a coach than in the number one, because the buck stops there. And I have to say to you, when I did eventually get that number one position, which I thought I'd done all my preparation for, all my studying for, all my experience, all my education for, when I did get that position, I failed miserably, mate.
In what way?
Well, I stopped being me. I stopped being authentic. You know, I stopped being Sammy Lee. I took advice off someone, and when I got the manager job at Bolton, someone said, wear a suit. Now, I've always been a tracksuit man, you know what I mean? And so I wore a suit, and we're playing at West Ham. And he may have some listeners. West Ham have never forgiven me anyway for 1981, the cup final, the League Cup final, Milk Cup final, whatever it was. You know, when they blamed me for the goal I shouldn't have. But we'll talk about that later on. So I'm there, and I've got my suit on, and the twist line, and we're feeling miserably, and they're singing, you know, your suit's from Matalan, your suit's from Matalan. And I thought, great, because I knew the people who own Matalan, they all gave it. I thought, fantastic. It was actually from Mothercare, my suit. I
thought you were going to say Build-A-Bear.
No, Build-A-Bear, thank you, Build-A-Bear. And honestly, it was one of them, I think, I stopped being me. And when you lose that authenticity, I think the players, they're the first to know it, they're the first to notice it. And so to your point, I found it easier as an assistant, because I can get amongst them. You can bounce off me.
Have more of a connection with it.
And also, if they slaughter me on any given whatever, they've lost nothing, you know what I mean? But if you do that to the manager, you can lose an awful lot, you know what I mean? But when they do it, I'm the sounding board, I'm the buffer, they're the ones who they can bounce off, you know, they can slaughter me, whatever, you know, but if they do that to the manager, there could be no comeback from it, you know. So at the end of the day, for me, it was easier, you know, and that's I think my personality. I love getting amongst them, love getting amongst the players, you know, and I feel that was, if I had a strength, then that was one of them, you know.
Did you know early doors when you got the Bolton job? Was there a time when you thought, fuck me, I'm struggling here, I'm out of my depth?
I'll give you a little instance. I think I mentioned before. Journalists who I've got a lot of respect for, still have got a lot of respect for, and he'll remain nameless, but I remember him writing, you know, Sammy Lee, great number two, but too nice to be number one. I mentioned just beforehand, too nice to be their coach. And, you know, later on when I got the job back with Rafa, he was having an interview with Rafa, but he was in the waiting room, and I see him, and I said, oh, hello. I said, Sammy said, right, he said, Sammy, listen, I don't know you, Sammy. I said, well, you said you don't know me. I said, that's fine. I said, but why write that I'm too nice? You can write that the results have been poor, which they were. You can write that a lot of the players didn't enjoy what I was doing because, again, I tried to impose my philosophy on them, and it wasn't for them. You can write that a lot of the staff wanted to go and leave with Sam, which they did, and I get that, you know. But if you write it's too nice, prospective owners are going to hear that, and nice in our game is perceived as being weak.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get that labelled on you, then prospective owners won't want to come in for you. I think you can be nice and be strong. But I know there's a lot of owners who think when they call you nice, you're weak.
Yeah.
You know, so, but you're right. Again, I made so many mistakes, and I tried to change too many things too early. And it's quite strange because Sam and I had identified that things needed changing, you know, in the police. But Sam moved on from then. And
could you have gone with him?
He never asked me, which I wish he had done, you know what I mean? In retrospect. No, I think again, he was brilliant to me. He still is brilliant to me. You know, we talk all the time. And at that time, I felt it was the right thing for me. And he certainly felt it was the right thing for me. I'd been at Bolton for 2.5 years and being with the players, great. We'd gone into Europe and whatever, loved it. Really did. But again, it was me that changed. You know, I've got nobody else to blame. It was me that changed, i.e. the suit, i.e. the things I tried to implement on the pitch. You know, and as I said, Chad, me and Sam had identified that things needed to change, but Sam had moved in that time. And I'll never forget, talk about the press. we're about to play them, and the week after, but we're playing on the Sunday, and he's at Newcastle, and the guy text off him, and he said, "Thanks for the headline." So next time I go to the press, I was like, oh, so what's that? He shows me it. And in the headline, I put, I blame Sam for everything that. So I thought, oh. So no. I said, Sam, why you text me? Why didn't you just ring me? He said, no, but I said, anyway. But what had happened is, it just been headlines over headlines. Are like, we'd identified that things needed to change and we were going to change, but obviously Sam moved on. But to actually get that and say that I blame Sam for that, and
so they twisted it.
It's an early lesson for you, isn't it?
I got a few F-bombs off him for that, by the way, you know, like, and rightly so.
Have you ever seen him looking so smart?
I honestly haven't. He looks absolutely fantastic.
What's he got on?
He has got the new 25-26 Undr The Cosh strip.
I tell you what, this is giving me 2002 England vibes.
Beckham
Greece.
against Greece.
Funny enough, Chris, when I looked at you in that, the last person I thought of was David Beckham.
But you do look good.
The new shirts out now and available on our website and on the O'Neills Sportswear site.
Can I introduce the away kit? We have designed them ourselves.
Bit South American for me, I feel. Don't know why I'm getting them vibes, but I like it.
That's twice you've said vibes, and I don't
I
like
know,
that word. You know that. So
I'm
make
not
that
getting
the
any
last.
vibes. I'm just seeing two lovely kits.
Yeah.
I'm not getting vibes at all.
Don't make it complicated,
But
Chris.
we've mentioned it many times. O'Neills Sportswear, supported the last 3 series of the podcast, and if you want to get your own team kitted out, how many can you get minimum ordered?
Minimum order 7.
7.
But as many as you want from
How
me.
quick can you get them on your doorstep?
4 to 6 weeks from design to delivery.
If you're looking for a bit of a size guide, that is a medium
It is a medium.
that Chris has got on. Loose fit, I'd recommend.
No, but the link's in the description. If you want to sort your own team out or get an Undr The Cosh shirt, click away and you can get sorted
Great
out.
present.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, sugar, yeah.
What a Christmas present that'd be.
And you can still buy the older kits
You can.
if you like them more. That's sound. We're not here to judge whether you like this one better than the last one. You get whichever ones you want.
So links in the description. Get yourself involved. And a massive thanks, as always, to O'Neills Sportswear for supporting us. What was the sales pitch like when you first met Big Sam? Did it involve a trip to Dubai or?
No, it was no sales pitch. It was total intimidation. To be honest.
Bullying.
Again, no, well, it's quite strange. I was working with the FA at the time, and like what we were talking about before, and we had a course in Warwick. And it was for the managers, you know what I mean? And Moyes was there, Mick McCarthy was there, as I said before. And Sam was there, and again we've done our little bit in the day, and in the evening, as I say, we're in the bar having a nice little drink, and he just went like that to me. He said, he looked at me, and we've had a nice hour or two, and he just looked at me. He said, "You're bored, you come and knock on my door in the morning. You're bored. I've lost me 2 coaches, which was Macca and Phil Brown." He said, "Come and see me in the morning." So go and knock on his door. And the next morning, so I'm nervous anyway. And you get there, and he's a big man, Sam, isn't he? You know these hotels, the robes you have on the back of the door, the towel and robe that don't fit anyone. It certainly didn't fit him. and it's
Imagine stuff swinging about.
It's hanging down, and he's got the latest pair of underkicks on you've ever seen. And so he goes in there. He said, "Come in, you." So next thing he sits me down. He lays on the chaise longue couch like Julius Caesar, and he just starts scratching his manhood, and then he just turned around and said, "Listen," he said, "I've lost me 2 coaches. You're bored. You're coming to join me." I said, "Okay," and walked out. That was it. No talk. I figured just some way to get out, But it was. I have to say to you, it was the start of something that's been very, very good for me.
Yeah.
Very good for me. And as I said to you before, I've been very fortunate. We work with some of the best, because you don't get to Liverpool or England without being some of the best, and he's up there with them.
Were you given a big responsibility from the off? You're going. You've had these roles at Liverpool and the FA. Was that the first time you've gone in and he's given you the responsibility to?
The great thing about him, Chris, is that he gives you ownership. gives your own, all his coaches, as I say, we have what's known as the war room, you know, and every coach has a voice, you know, but at the end of the day, it's his decision, you know, but he likes to have a consensus of opinion. But yeah, he certainly gave me, and he gave me the ability in me to develop as a coach. And it was a great start of, for me, what's been not only a fantastic professional relationship, but it's a great friendship. I consider him a true friend.
Could you fall out with them? You know, you
All the
said
time.
about that Man City one when
All
you
the time.
clashed heads about. Any examples of?
All the time, I used to fall out with him, honestly, to God, because the good thing about it is that he didn't take offence at it. You know, he said to me, he said, you know, we used to argue all the time. There's loads of instances, but, you know, he said, you're the only person I know who doesn't have small man syndrome. Now, I didn't know what that was, but obviously he looked at me and said, you got, you know, because I used to, honestly, it was just something that, and the greatest thing about it, and one of the great strengths is that he could take that and he would not take offence at it. As long as you didn't go over the top, you know what I mean? As long as you went too personal. But you knew that full. I was never sycophantic with him. Never sycophantic with him. You know, at the end of the day, we always had this opinion. And I think that's why it works so well. You know, and the biggest one, as you say, was the City. Because honestly, the City, don't forget, we're in Everton. And massive club. And he's got me there against a lot of people, like, at the time, didn't want me to go there. I had the chance to go there with Ronald Koeman. Sorry, that's wrong. I'd been with Ronald Koeman at Southampton, and I thought he was going to take me with him to Everton. That didn't get allowed to happen. I think Bill Kenwright, who I love and I've got a lot of respect for, I think Bill was a bit wary of the fact that I may have, you know, left from Liverpool, and he understood that, Bill. So, you know, Ronald said, okay, no problem. But when Sam got there, Sam dug his heels in and said, no, I want him to be with me. And that's no disrespect to Ronald neither. It's just I think Sam knew. The great strength of, like, Bill Kenwright is that Bill knew the issues that could arise from someone from Liverpool to invest in Liverpool could be part of the Everton setup. But all I said to him and to everybody said, judge me on what I do, not what I've done. And again, to his credit, Bill, as I say, got nothing but love and respect for him. He's done fantastic for Everton Football Club. On our first game, and yeah, there's a lot of issues and whatever surrounding it. And as I'm doing the warm-up, Bill does no more than come on the pitch and hug me.
Was that on the pitch before a game?
Yeah.
So
he came on. I'm doing what can I do the game with, and he came on and he made a point of coming over to me.
Yeah.
And all the crowd could
all
see
the fans
it.
can see.
You're like, get off me!
I thought I was getting sacked again. Oh, no, not again before I even started. But no, it just shows you the strength of the guy, Bill Kenwright. Nothing but respect and love for him.
So Friday in your meeting in the war room, you've given your opinion. Sam's not took it on board. What you said would have worked on the Saturday, you got beat because of whatever it were. Do you like say on a Monday morning? Told you.
Told him on Saturday night.
It would be them emoji. You just put them eyeballs into the group, wouldn't you?
I said, told you so.
But could you do that? Because you said, well, to be fair, I did say that.
Yeah, but I would never do it. I never feel the need to do that. I can never feel the need, because at the end of the day, once you have that consensus of opinion and the views, what happens is the moment you leave the war room door, you're all of the same opinion. You've had your chance to go in and convince somebody, high press, low press. You've had the chance. The only way you'll find out is when you play, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, for me, it wasn't for me to say I told you. And I never ever said that to him anyway. I'm only joking. But we'd know.
How did Sam get, or you get as a team, some of them players to go to sign for Bolton Wanderers?
Well, Sam's he's very persuasive. I've just told you. I hope it wasn't.
Joke, I have in his fucking
He's signing for us tomorrow.
balls, pal.
I hope it wasn't the same way as he got me, because otherwise I don't think we'd have got many of them there. But no, Sam was very detailed, and he had lad Mike Ford, who was his second in command. And honestly, they had this Bible they had with Bolton, which basically when players come in, he'd present them with this, saying, this is what the club is all about. This is what you know, the standards you got to adhere to. And he was one of the first I ever envisaged where he had player liaisons. You know, he had prayer rooms in the thing. He realised that in the likes of Ramadan, where people can suffer because they're fasting all day. He had this global view of the football game. You know, and I just think, wow. And again, what you've got to do when you sit in front of people, just be honest. You know, because as I said to you, the players can suss you out. You know, when I stopped being authentic, when I stopped being me, they shut it right away.
They just skim over the Bolton town centre.
Yeah. So, you know, well, but the thing about it, we had the iconic stadium and you'd always meet them there. You know, when you come to that stadium, it's fantastic. You know, you come up the M60, M61, M60, it's just great to see that, you know what I mean? It's just wonderful, iconic stadium. So he was honest with them. He gave them his philosophy, his view. He gave them what he wanted out of them, how he thought that they could improve the club. And he stripped it down to basics. Get the basics right, you can win any game, any football game against any football team. And I firmly believe that to this day.
I think one of the toughest, if I was put myself in an assistant position, one of the toughest things would be, obviously the manager's your boss in a way, but you don't want to lose the trust of the players. You want to keep the players on side as well. Is there any examples of like players stepping out of line or something, but you thought the manager doesn't really need to know that? I'll keep that.
Yeah, there's a number, and as you say, mate, there's that you know, without going into specifics, you know, what happens is as an assistant, I know full well there's certain things that Sam didn't need to know about. One thing I did do, I'll never Ivan Campo, who I love, but this again is a digression. But again, Sam let me have me, and I was out of order, me and Ivan, and I used to wear like Copa Mundial, you know, the rubber studs on the touchline. So we've had this bit of a, you know, the first half not gone very well, half time coming in, so he let me rant and rave for whatever reason. So I think he knew I was going to get battered by Ivan, you know. So like I've gone to Ivan and he's had to go at me, and I know we're squaring up to each other. I know I'm like put him up, and but I start first. I've got the Copa Mundial, and it's quite fortuitous this, because I start sliding backwards. I think that was done purposely, you know what I mean? You know, I'm on my studs and I'm sliding back and I'm like that. And honestly, it's like the Cowardly Lion in the Wizard of Oz trying to fight me, you know. Like thankfully, I never come to that. But from that moment onwards, I always wore different, you know, training shoes on the side. You know, and I put it down to the Copa Mundial, which I love the Copa Mundial, but basically I think I was backing off anyway, you know. But the good thing about that, and it's quite strange because Sam just laughed at that after.
Yeah.
Sam just laughed at that because he knew it. And it was, again, it's hard to put into the way. Only fact, the one I would say is just trust.
Just taking a second, gentlemen, to say thank you to our sponsors for this week's episode, Aura Picture Frames. The perfect Christmas gift, if you ask me. I've got one at home.
Underrated.
Fabulous.
Digital picture frame.
Exactly. Every different slide is a different memory.
Yeah. I like it. You connect your app on the phone, and how many pictures do you have in your reels on your phone?
Too many.
You just get lost. And there'll be some good, really nice ones there with the missus, with the kids, all the family together. It just gets lost in your phone. Couple of taps, it's there in the picture frame. There, their memories there on display.
Can you set these to whatever photos you want?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm going to have a picture of me fat, put it next to the fridge. Every time I go for a donut, I look at my picture frame, stop me going to the fridge.
You should do a special one for that reason, with your finger out. No, John. How hard is it as well, thinking, we could do with a freshen up with these pictures in here. I've got to take it back off. I've got to unclip it, get the picture printed and all that. No.
It's all on the app.
Tap of a button, new picture in the frame, and you can have them scrolling as well. You know, like every now and again it changes. Go on, ask me the question.
Chris, do we have an offer?
Of course we have an offer. We have a special Christmas offer. Because for a limited time you can save on the perfect Christmas gift by visiting auraframes.co.uk and get £35 off Aura's best-selling Carragher matte frame, which was named the top frame by The Independent. All you've got to do is use the promo code COSH at checkout. That's Aura Frames, AURA frames.co.uk, using the promo code COSH. And the deal's exclusive to our listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order now to get it in time for the holidays, and make sure you mention Undr The Cosh at checkout to support the show. And as always, terms and conditions apply.
Any Joofy stories?
No. No. All I will say to you is that I was with a lad in Liverpool, And then Sam brought him to Bolton, and Sam knew what he was doing when he brought him to Bolton. And in fairness, Sam loved him. Sam got the best out of Juffy, got the best out of Juffy, you know. And he knew that the fact that, you know, me and Juffy were like, you know, we had our issues with each other. But like, listen, it is what it is, you know what I mean? But no, Sam just knew that when he introduced me into the destiny, I mean, and he looked at me and you know, he knew that the challenge was on, sort of thing, you know. But listen, again, Juffy, as I said to you, when he was with Sam got the best out of him. Sam got the best out of Elage. You know, he did very well.
What did he do to get the best out of a Bolton? Because it obviously didn't work out at Liverpool. What was the difference?
He treated him like a son. He treated him like a son, you know what I mean? And
that must have been frustrating for you, though.
Well, no, because you know,
like the opposite of the Uncle Nobby.
No. It's at the end of it, because listen, I had no issues with Juffy.
What he was doing on field.
Yeah, I had no issues with Juffy. It's like, as I say to you, the assistants, there are challenges in every football club, you know. And as I say to you, and I know, lads has got issues with other players, you know what I mean? But that's up for them to sort out. For me, again, as an assistant and as a coaching team, you've always got these egos, these people who all you have to do is just try and coach them along, try and get the best out of them. And Sam and I certainly got the best out of El Hadji at Bolton. And he honestly, he did very, very well for Bolton. I don't think he appreciated, when I got the job, the head coach, I don't think he appreciated what I was trying to do, but I fully understand that.
I don't know this for a fact, but you know, if you're on an away game in the hotel, was he a stickler for pints? You know, after the lads have the meal, get back up the room, are you in the bar, him and his staff, having a good...
Well, what Sam used to always do, I mean, I've always done 2 halves. I never drink pints, I can only drink 2 halves, you know.
Just in case you fall in.
I suppose yeah, in case I drown. No, but Sam, listen, again, all Sam had to do was to reward his staff who'd work very, very hard throughout the week. And all he did, basically, all the work was done by then. There'd be certain ones there'd be a rota, who'd have to stay behind, make sure the players were all right, you know, and looked after, you know, and all he wanted to do was just reward his staff who'd worked very, very hard. I know he used to give them a nice meal and I'd say the chance to just sit down, relax and, you know, and have a few, glasses of wine, whatever he wanted. It was there. And again, a lot of people won't be able to understand that, but that was just Sam treating his staff how he wanted them to be treated and to show them the appreciation that he has for them and the hard work that he's done. Because, you know, a lot of the time it was itinerant staff, because he was able to bring itinerant staff from who've gone on to bigger and better things, you know what I mean? Some of them in the NBA, some of them in the NFL now. So he always gave them the opportunity, but he always just wanted to show them the appreciation for the hard work that they were doing. Because, you know, he said them guys in them positions, they're not getting best paid. You know, he just wanted to get a token of his thanks for all the hard work they put in. Not as a season, but every week.
We've had a couple of lads on that were at Liverpool under Rafa and mentioned that they felt that he was quite impersonal compared to other managers that they played under. Did you feel like you had to pick that personal side, that relationship with players up?
Well, I didn't feel I had to. That's what I did. That's what I want to do. I think that's my forte, if you like. You may disagree after today, you know, but I think that's one of my forte, because again, in any management team, you have to have a blend, you have to have a mix. And I feel that that's the good thing about these managers, these head coaches, is that the best ones are getting the best mix, because there's certain people who are better at certain things, because there's a number of components that go into the coaching element, you know, and the management element. It's not just the picking of the team. It's not just the ranting and raving on the touchline. It's everything. And I feel the better ones bring the people who they can trust, again, keep on using that word, but who are better at different aspects of the coaching tree, if you like.
On the back of your question, you know, under Benitez, was that something that he'd address, or was that something that you picked up on, that you're going to have to do that? Was it something where he's going to go to you, listen, I don't get involved in the social side of things, I want you to do that? Or was that something that you just had to do yourself?
Well, I think, again, not actually, I think I did do, again, if you don't mind, because what happened was that you'd go in and you see what, and whoever it was, they'd bring me in to fulfill a role. The role would be the role that they didn't particularly want to do, whatever that may be, you know. I mean, one of the things that you used to have to, a simple thing, that even the travel from the hotel to the ground, he didn't want to be any more than however many minutes. Now in London, that's very difficult, you know, because time travel doesn't equate to the distance because of the traffic. But he brought me in to do a thing. But again, I feel one of my stints is that when I get in, I throw myself in, you know, as you say, into the pint glass. I throw myself into that whole utterly, you know, I immerse myself in it completely. And I think I can sense, I can smell what needs tweaking, what needs addressing, what needs looking after, what needs pushing to one side, what the manager doesn't need to know about. I feel that's there's some of my strengths that I have for any head coach. One of the great things which he never gets credit for, and certain people need to know, our anthem, "You Never Walk Alone." Now, I've been a supporter all my life, and I've been a player, and I guess there he says to me, he brings me in, Sammy, he said, "You never walk alone." He said, "Well, it's played while the players are in the dressing room," and I didn't even register with me. Well, and as it happens, it was. So Brian Hall, one of our ex-players, who's head of communications at Anfield, great guy who sadly since passed away. You know, I went to him and said, "Brian, you know," and initially he said, "Well, we've done like this for years," and I said, "Yeah, no, but Rafa is right." He said, "You know, the timing of it is the players don't even there." They're inside. Anyway, lo and behold, we changed it, and now look what happens. You go out there now, and the players line up while you never walk alone is on.
Yeah.
Masterstroke.
Battle cry.
Masterstroke. It's our anthem.
Yeah.
Masterstroke. And you got there, and you feel, if you don't feel it when that's being played on any given night, certainly European nights, then there's something wrong here. And then once again, just a masterstroke. And he just went to me and said, "Sammy, you know the people you can talk to." And that was Rafa Benitez. People don't know that about him. Again, it's about the details.
Without putting a downer on it, you know, when you lost your job at Bolton, was it relief? Was it a case of, for fuck's sake, I've worked for this and it hasn't worked out? Or did you feel comfortable knowing that you've tried it and it wasn't for you?
It was shame. I felt ashamed. I felt I'd let myself down. I felt I'd let my parents down. I felt I'd let my mates down. It was shame. Losing a position is not something to feel comfortable about, mate. And I said I didn't feel comfortable. It was shame, nothing more. And from the first moment on, I realised, to your point when you said you asked me the question before, Brian, was out of me. I never felt out of me depth, but I felt as I was doing things wrong. Because as I said to you before, it changed. But no, it wasn't relief at all. It was shame. It was shame, nothing more, nothing less. You know, and I've never quite got over that. You know, and it's easy for me to say, well, I realise now I'm not a number one. But no, one of the biggest things is the emotion I felt was shame more than anything. I felt as if it let everybody down.
I think it's quite a bold decision to be able to self-reflect and realise your own skill set and have a realisation that maybe my skill set's better here than the...
Well, Chris, I hope so, mate. I mean, at the end of the day, but as I say, when you're being sacked as many times as me, sometimes you have to reassess. You know what I mean? Go where
you can be pig-headed though, can't you? And think, oh, I've not in my eyes been a success here, but I've to actually have the self-reflection of going, do you know what, I'm actually better at this.
But you know, particularly someone who looks like a pig, like me, because and I tell you for why they couldn't. When the shouts used to call me, saying it was El Cerdo. I'm thinking that sounds great, El Cerdo. I didn't until I realised that what I mean is El Cerdo in Spanish is pig, because I was small, fat, and pink. You know what I mean? So like, you know, and so didn't make me look like me. Yeah, there's got to be. You're gonna have to have a big period of self-reflection, you know. But I do that every day, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, I go home and think, how was the session today? Did it work out right? Were the players enthused? Were they motivated by it? Were they incentivised by it? And when they're not, I'm thinking, well, why? Were the size of the pitch too big? Were they too small? And every single day, you know, I used to go home and reevaluate what I've done, you know, and you know, go back to what you said before, Brian, about like, and honestly, I never felt out of my depth, but I knew, even from the moment I say when I took advice to wear a suit on the land, I said, really? It was a lovely suit as well from Leeds, but it just didn't look good on me. You know what I mean? You know, it just didn't. You know, but honestly, it's them little stupid tangible things that you can identify and think, I'm doing that to players right away. I changed.
And what about? Sorry, Sammy. What about like, you know, when you're assistant, you haven't got to deal with this, but leaving players out. Did you? The first time somebody knocks on the door and says, "Gaffer, why the fuck am I not playing?"
I blame Sam.
Still,
Go speak to him.
Is it Newcastle?
Go knock on his door. Go knock on his door. No, there's obviously a set, but again, as long as you're honest with them, honestly, because once again, they know when you're pulling the wool over their eyes, you know. And I've always been honest with players, sometimes to my detriment, you know. But I've always been honest with them, you know, because at the end of the day, they know you guys have been it. You know when someone's giving you one BS. You know what I mean? You know, and I never ever wanted that. You have to be. There has to be a certain amount of diplomacy. You know, you can't just be too brusque with them. You know, you got to let them down lightly. But no, I think as long as you're honest with them, mate. You know.
Yeah.
And then when you don't take the honesty, I say, well, go knock on his door. As I said, go speak to him.
We've heard plenty about Big Sam's Dubai trips from a player's point of view.
And from Sam himself.
Yeah. What is your week on a Dubai trip as the coaching staff?
I can never remember. It's always too dry. No, it's like everything. He likes them to relax, but there's got to be an element of training there, which there always was, you know. And again, Sam had this thing. Listen, you work hard, you play hard. You've got to make sure you're there the next day, you know, because we're there for a reason, you know. And at the end of the day, what you want that when you come back to the Premiership again, is that you're ready to go again, you know. And I have to say to you, yes, there was enjoyment, but also there was there was certainly training sessions in there as well, you know, because at the end of the day, you can't have one without the other. You know, for me, you've got to be professional about it. I mean, there was times me and him maybe argued over that. I maybe said, well, you may need a training session tomorrow. No, you know, sort of thing, you know what I mean? Or maybe the other way around, you know. But no, I think, listen, again, you know, you're there for a reason. And, you know, the reason is to make sure that when you come back to face it again, is that you're ready, you know. And honestly, one of the best ones, he may have told you when he was at Palace, and obviously Steve was a great owner, great chairman, Steve Parrish, brilliant. He allowed us to go to Agadir, and Sam always likes the guys to get into the sea, and sadly, you know, sadly, there's two guys there, right, who'd never been in the sea before.
Couldn't swim.
Never been in the sea before. And he's get in, you know, and I haven't been in the sea before, but because he felt that was the best healing process, you know, being in the water. And but again, what he's always done, he's always gone to the owners and said, this is what I'm doing it for, you know, and he's doing it for the right reasons, you know, R&R, rest and relaxation. But within that, honestly, there's always, I know he's give you tales of whatever, but there's always a training element in there.
How did you find working with the England team? How was it working with England?
I loved it to be, you know, and you know, you hear all these things about, you know, little quangos within the group and all the players, but I loved it. I certainly didn't see that, and I again, all I was trying to do, control what I can control, get in amongst them, try and be enthusiastic, try and motivate them, try and incentivise them. You know, I loved it, and I thought there's working with some of the best in the country was for me as a coach. It was like, you know, after Liverpool. A fantastic experience, and also to work with Sven. Sven was absolute diamond. Him and Todd Grip, lovely people to work with.
There's just so much more scrutiny in that environment, and different things you've got to manage. Like, remember when there was all about the wives and the girlfriends going to the tournament, and all focus is on that when you're just trying to win a tournament
again. But that's all we can focus on. We know that. We know what the press were doing. We know that was because we hear the press, we see the press. But at the end of the day, you know, that's what they were reporting on. All we could do is make sure that whenever we were on the training pitch, you know, if everything was prepared for them, it was set out well for them, there was a theme to it, and just again to try and get for them to be the best version of themselves they could be. And honestly, whether I'm naive or I was in the bubble, I didn't. And again, I know there's rivalries. I know that there's rivalries within the local football club. But I didn't see it to the extent where it was like divisive and it was stopping them from achieving what they wanted to achieve. Maybe I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Were you a good referee, by the way?
No, shocking. Shocking. Oh, I'd say shocking, honestly.
But did you do it on purpose?
I used to go to VAR. I mean, I hadn't even got VAR. No, shocking, mate. And that was one of the worst parts you used to do because, honestly, the players, talk about challenge, honestly, used to challenge at every decision. And I'm only tossing up. I'm tossing the coin. No, it was, no, I never enjoyed the refereeing. And, you know, you like your Stevie McLaren and Sven, they used to love giving the whistle to me, I'll tell you that now, because they knew full well that, once again, everything would be on me, sort of thing, you know. Oh, yeah. No, I never enjoyed it.
I've heard stories of assistant managers walking past players and going, go down the next time you get it, I'll give you a penalty. just to wind people up.
That's up to them, mate. I was just getting, it's an effing penalty, you fat little one. You're talking to me? No, I never enjoyed it every year. They're always right. The players were always right. You know, you have 3 different players arguing, 3 different, and they're all right. And I'm in the middle going, oh.
It is a thankless task. The amount of shit we used to give Rob and that.
Oh, fuck me. Well, I used to want the games to be 2 minutes each way, then get out the way. No, shocking. I was shocking everything.
By the way, jury duty. You got done by jury duty. The Leeds.
Yeah. Bizarre.
That's mad, that, isn't it?
Bizarre. Yeah, Sam gets the opportunity to go to Leeds. And I'll never forget it. It's the restaurant I'm going to take you guys to when you go over, Vincenzo's. Lovely family run Italian restaurant, brilliant. And I'd had no inclination of it. Sam phones me up on the Monday, bank holiday Monday. He said, get yourself down here to Leeds tomorrow. We're in there, you know, blah, blah. The players aren't in tomorrow. They're coming in Wednesday, so get yourself down. And I said, but Sam, I've got jury duty tomorrow. And he said, yeah, you'll be able to get off that.
He's assertive, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's in footballers' mentality. Yeah. We'll get you off that.
Clarky, you know what's amazing? Because I'd put a letter in off my solicitor weeks previous because one thing you don't want to do in Liverpool is be on jury duty. In Liverpool, your family could be involved. You know what I mean? So like, I just didn't want to be, but not for 1 minute thing because it's so late. Something, he's not going to get a gig now. And honestly, I didn't. And I'd put a letter in saying, look, because of, I didn't, you know. And I actually turned and I said, you know, I may get a club or whatever. Not for 1 minute thinking I would. I got a letter back off and I wish I'd have kept it, of the judge's clerk or judge's PA. We appreciate, Mr. your situation and in the fact, you know, you could be getting, he said, but your employment situation and your economic situation has got nothing to do with your moral obligation to be a juror and be there on that day. Oh dear, I felt as if I was in the dock. So it goes on the Tuesday, and truthfully, it goes down on the Tuesday, and there's a young kid comes in, right? They've all aware of this letter. It hasn't come out yet that Sammy's joining Leeds. It comes out later on that day. And he said, he brings me, he said, we're all fully aware of you, Mr. Lee. He said, but the judge is adamant that nothing can be deferred. I've heard people say you can get deferred to whatever. I've heard a lot of people said that, right? And we'll come back to that in a minute. He said, but this judge is adamant that there's going to be no deferrals, would you? So therefore I couldn't get, and I never had the chance to go and join Sam at Leeds. And from what I can gather, and again, someone may correct me when the jury said, but it's down to the individual judge. The protocol or the process is down to the individual judge. Because I've heard a number of people say, I got it deferred, but I certainly wasn't allowed to get it deferred.
I reckon he got an Everton shirt under his black thing.
Or a Leeds shirt, didn't want me to go there, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so.
I've been joking about, what if it was in the bottom 3 with the Leeds at the time?
Yeah.
He could have been a fan of whoever it was, and thought, we'll stop that happening. If it's up to him.
Honestly, people told me, you can get deferred. Well, I wasn't allowed to get deferred. And I got in. And it's quite strange. So the next day, then you have a form for loss of earnings. So, and there's a limit, obviously. And I go to the woman, I said to her, Sark, I said, what about loss of a job? She went, you're the first that's ever happened to. I went, She said, you're the first. I said, well, thank you. Well,
what was the case? Can you remember?
Yeah.
Might be a bit of confidentiality there.
Well, I'll ask you that after.
Yeah. Actually, when we go to the restaurant next time you're up.
He's pissed off at it. Guilty.
I'll put my thing in now. He's guilty. Right, well,
Can we go home now?
It starts tomorrow.
That's the 2 weeks, that's all I'll say. So I missed half of the tenure that we were supposed to be in anyway. I think he got 4 games, Sam, to save them, yeah.
If you get a manager's job tomorrow, you're bringing in as assistant?
Sam.
Just for the role reverse.
And bully him.
Just turn up in your dressing gown.
Just say, come to my room tomorrow, and I say, no, it's a great question, mate. It's a great question. I formed a very good friendship with a lad called Robbie Stockdale, who was a very, very good coach.
I played with Robbie.
Yeah, so did I.
Very good coach, honestly, and honestly, to the point where I hope this doesn't sound arrogant. We moved together at West Brom. I felt he's the one I felt who I could let lead the session. The detail that he goes into is so. If I ever got the chance, it'd certainly be him.
On topic, what would you do with the Liverpool team at the minute?
I know what's happening with my Liverpool team. Mo Salah's out of the fucking thing.
He's got him in his dream team.
The fantasy team has been fucking crap.
It's difficult at the moment, because it's not. Listen, I've got to be careful, obviously diplomatic, but it's not working at the moment. But I don't find that they've got the balance at the moment. And what I would like, when they're playing against a low block, which they invariably do, I would like, and I've said this all along, and I wouldn't dare tell Arne Slot what to do, but for me, I want us to move the ball quicker. I want us to move the ball with a bit more intensity, a bit more pace on the pass, because when you're up against a low block, if you're passing the ball slow, it's easy to combat. They stay in position. So if you keep on moving the ball quicker, a gap will appear, then you can penetrate. That's what I'd like to see.
Locking at the ball, I reckon.
Pardon?
A lock in at the ball.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Go karting and then 15
Go
pints.
karting, lock in, do your books, lads. Bit of team building.
Do you think that's honestly gone out of the game?
Well, it hasn't
to the detriment of it.
It hasn't gone out of my repertoire, mate. I know I know it hasn't gone out of Sam's repertoire. I know the game has changed, but there's still certain elements that you can implement, and there's a number of ways of getting, of improving the team. Certainly the team unit, the team bonding, the camaraderie, but at the end of the day, I think it's about, as I keep on going back to this authenticity. If they know that you're trying to do the best for it, then they'll respond to it. And I think at some point it'll click. I'm hoping it'll click because I'm a supporter.
Best player you've ever worked with?
The best I've ever played with is Graham Souness. The best I've ever worked with, I'd have to say to you, there's well, I'll give you three if you don't mind, but there's the Stevie G without a shadow of a doubt. Unbelievable. Xabi Alonso had the talent, different class. I'd have to mention Carragher because I think, and people may say, well, is that because he's your mate? Well, he's not my mate. I wish he was, but he's not. He works so hard to make the best he could be of himself. And you look at what he's doing now in his punditry, it shows. But the guy was a great student of the game, and he improved me as a coach because, as I said to you before, he challenged me every single day as a coach, and I love what he's done. I love what he made out of himself. I think he'll say to himself, he was limited. Now, when you say limited, that sounds like critical, but I'm not. He knew what his talents were, and he made the best of the talents he had. Xabi Alonso, without a shadow of a doubt, was one of the best players, in modern day at a Liverpool Football Club. But you'd have to say Stevie. In some of my coaching days, you'd have to say Stevie G. And again, I've been very fortunate to work with your Suarez of this world, your Michael Owens of this world. But actually, at Liverpool Football Club, it'd have to be Stevie G.
Were you at the club when you were on about going to Chelsea?
Yep.
And you pull him to one side and say, you can't do that, Stevie?
No, it's not. It's not for me to make any player's decision up on things like that. He's got a battery of people supporting him, family, friends, agents, stuff for them. But all I will say to you is that I try to make any player find it difficult to leave Liverpool Football Club by what I do on the training pitch with them. I wouldn't want anybody to leave Liverpool Football Club or any club I was at because they didn't think they were getting treated right, or they didn't think they were being coached right, or they didn't think they were being prepared right. So I can only control what I can control. I wouldn't dare influence a player off the pitch to what he should do as regarding any other club.
It's refreshing you looking back at Carragher, the way that you said that he tested you as a coach. Like, I imagine most people would be like, oh, he's fucking pulling me up again, Myron, but you saw it
the other way.
He improved.
No, but he did for me, and at the end of the day, we can all improve. And I'm not trying to sit on any fence at all. All I will say to you is that, and this is a common theme when I've said from the moment I stepped into the place, the fact that I was challenged as a player and then as a coach. And I loved that.
Yeah.
And I loved that. And as long as I had the answers for them, then that was fine. That was fine, you know what I mean? And I used to make sure that I give myself a bit of time, that if I didn't have the answer, I'd find the answer.
I'll make it up.
I'd go somewhere and find the answer, or I'd just go somewhere. But no, I think, like, as with all the players, I think all he wants is answers, you know, to why we're doing this, why am I not playing, why am I playing, where am I playing, when am I playing? As long as you get the answers, and as long as they're honest answers, then, and as long as you as a coach can back them up, then I think you've got a chance with them.
Sammy, cheers for your time.
Yeah. Thank you very much. By the way, what's next? Would you go back in anywhere?
Not anywhere, mate. You know, I think it's gone now. I think it's a young man's game more than ever. You know, that's not my thing, because I still think there's a role, but I think, again, perception is it's a young man's game more than ever. I think a lot of these owners are looking at young coaches, which I fully get, but I still think there's a bit. I'm enjoying the fact that I can mentor young coaches now as well. You know, which is giving me a way to put an input into the game, put back into the game. You know, and I've enjoyed that role. But if I was to be asked, and I think I'd enjoy going back in. I wouldn't say anywhere, because at the end of the day, it's all consuming, you know, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing at the moment. And I wouldn't want it any other way, apart from being all consuming. That's the way I approach anything, what I do.
I'm not sure. I think the way the season's gone, the way the game's changing back, I think, I'm going to use Sam for example, I think people are going to start going, for me, maybe he's all right, maybe we should go back to that.
The saddest thing, mate, is that they say maybe he's all right. You know, they're thinking now.
Yeah,
maybe.
You know, when you're talking about before, even about styles of play. You know, it's a fashion thing, as you say. It's cyclical. Football is cyclical. Comes round. But also, I'll contradict myself in that, because I think you can put any element in any game. You can be long ball. So I mentioned Man City before. You got to be adaptable. You got to be flexible. And I don't think you have to wait 10 years before you start introducing a long throw. You know what I mean? For me, if you've got that in you, if you can use that, and you set pieces, the amount like 45-50% of the goals scored now, aren't they? I don't know what I've been out the game, so I'm not too sure what the percentage is, but it's growing all the time. So for me, there's no reason why these things can't be implemented.
So the perception from the outside that it's, if you just got rid of all the media, fans and everything, and you just had 20 teams playing against each other, everybody be playing different ways, wouldn't they?
Well, I'm having £50 on Sam Allardyce, next Liverpool manager this afternoon.
I've got to be. I wouldn't get rid of the fans, because the fans are what make it as well, mate.
Yeah.
The fans are what's your show. You know what I mean? The fans.
I just mean from the perspective of the style of play.
I'm not picking. It's like everything. What I'm saying is that honestly, I think everything's about the fans, and they're what drive you. You know, good and bad. You know, because heaven forbid that you get comfortable. Heaven forbid that you get comfortable in what you're doing. Oh, I can do this. Heaven forbid that. And thankfully, at the place just up the road, you never made it to feel comfortable. Never. You never felt Ian Callagher, 857 appearances, still didn't feel irregular. Top man. We go for lunch, and we usually come and we're out next Monday, funny enough. And we go there, and Cali comes, Thomas comes, Aldo comes, Barnesy comes, Bruce comes, Jan and hopefully Rushy this time. And Jason Max, and we have a lovely lunch. We get there at like 12:30, and fantastic. We put the ball, no chance you put the ball away, and we leave it out. The only reason I know when I leave is my Uber receipt the next day. You know, it tells you what time you leave, got time picked up and all. You know, but it's just great though when you're with them guys, and that's why I'd love you to come. Honestly. When you're up here next, when you're up, just give it. You got me on. You can have my number. Honestly, I think it'd be nice. You know, well, come along there, have a nice bit of pasta and a few wines.
Some lager, man.
Well, it's lovely, Lord, Menabrea, as I said to you, but I'd say I'd introduce you to a little bit of wine. Just to be polite.
You've no chance,
Just to be polite. Oh, I don't know, I'll get back here.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, Sammy, top man, thank you very much.
It was okay, boys.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you.
Cheers.